when I received a visit from the Provincial Commissioner, Mr. Page Jones, known as PJ, and our local Mbulu District Commissioner, Peter Bell. PJ told me that Peter and I had done a very good job on the Mbulu culling scheme, and that Peter would be getting the OBE in recognition of the fact. He then mentioned in passing that he was very sorry I had not been successful with the farm at Oldiani, and said if I was still interested, I should try for one of the new farms to be released at a place called Olmalog. I was, so he suggested I saw Dick Ludbrook, a Tetsi officer who knew where the place was. That evening, Pat and I were invited to the Bells for dinner with PJ, as an unofficial celebration of Peter's OBE. During the course of the evening, I went into the garden. Peter followed me and said in a low voice, "You should follow up this Olmalog business. It sounds good to me." I was holding a cattle market the next Saturday at Basotu, near Haydom, where Dick was, at that time, clearing the bush to control the influx of tsetse fly into the area. As it would only increase my journey back to Mbulu by 20 miles, I thought I should go to see him. After the market had finished, I decided to spend the night at the clearings on the off chance that Dick would be there. On the way, Gyao, my senior veterinary guard, who went everywhere with me, pointed out that we should have gone straight back to Mbulu after the market, as the staff were running short of rations. However, as there was a lot of game about around the clearings, it would be appreciated by all if I could bring myself to waste one bullet on a wildebeest. This was Gyao's usual approach for a favour, so I chose a young bull, which appeared in a good condition. Dick was at the clearings to meet me, looking fit and in good form, and he said, "I see you got a wildebeest. Good. Best meat of the lot. We'll have some steaks for breakfast." I pointed out that we had plenty of fresh beef, but he said, "Give that to the staff. Gnu for us." While my tent was going up, we went to Dick's tent for a beer, and then Gyao arrived to tell me that the wildebeest had measles cysts. Dick just said, "Choose a piece without," and that was that. Dick was a big New Zealander, 6'1", weighing well over 200 pounds, but he could not in any way be described as fat. With him it was all muscle. He was as tough as he looked and very brash, but he had the heart of a kitten. He said, "It's good to see you. What brings you here? I suppose the bloody administration sent you to spy on what I'm doing." "No, Dick," I replied. "You know as well as I do that I wouldn't do that for the administration or anyone else. I've come to ask you a favour. I believe you did a tsetse survey at a place called Olmalog on the northern slopes of Kilimanjaro." "Yes, I did. And what about it?" "Well, I'm looking for a piece of land, and I thought you might know where it is and something about it. If I thought I could get one of those farms, I would pack up this racket tomorrow. I heard that they are only going to ex-servicemen, if and when they are released. I don't stand a chance, and don't think you do, even with your service record. They will go to the favoured few. Have they decided to release the land?" I told him that I had heard the Maasai had agreed to release it, as long as the authorities got rid of the Kikuyu from Kenya, who were squatting on the edge of the forest, and it had been suggested by a reliable source that I should apply. Dick then gave me all the detail he could, and as he would not be able to go with me, he suggested that I contact Owen McCallum, who had done a lot of elephant shooting there and knew the place well. Otherwise, I should contact George Carr, a difficult fellow who farmed at Ndumiet, as these new farms extended from his northeastern boundary. Dick said sarcastically, "If you get George in a good mood, he can be very helpful, but he's the most miserable and antisocial fucker I have ever met, and there's a 50-50 chance that he will order you off his farm." By this time we'd had quite a few drinks. Dick became very maudlin and told me what a wonderful mother I had. His bungalow adjoined hers, and she was the best of neighbours. The one thing in this world he would never want to do was to hurt her in any way. He went on to say he thought he was suffering from cancer, and the doctors were hiding it from him. The more he drank, the more depressed he became. Eventually we all went to bed, and next morning he was as bright as a bird. We had our wildebeest steaks, which he prepared on an old plough disc, and they were delicious. Halfway through mine, I discovered a cyst, but the steak was too good to waste, so I just cut round it and ate the rest. After breakfast I left, and I never saw Dick again. About 2 months later he went to Arusha, wrote a note asking people to forgive him for the mess, as he was dying from cancer. He then blew his brains out with a 416 elephant rifle, leaving one hell of a mess in the bathroom. John Pettifer, the new vet, had recently arrived to take over the district. He had not been in